The following is a presentation of 912 Sports. Welcome to On Air with 912 Sports, your number one source for high school sports. With Shawn Smoke, Kevin Price, and Robbie Ross. On Air with 912 Sports is brought to you by Coastal Pines Technical College. Go Coastal. Prime South Bank. Find your prime. Robbie Robertson Ford, because Fords are cheaper in the swamp. Gibson Animal Clinic, practical solutions with limited fees. Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, the region's best orthopedic care. And Kim Smoke, licensed realtor with eXp Realty.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robinson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Hey folks, welcome back to another week of the Smoke Report. I'm here this week to give you guys the scores from November 24th, the third round of the GHSA state playoffs. We had 5 teams in our coverage area still competing for a chance at a state title. Let's run down the recaps. We're going to start actually over in GIAA, where Frederica, our private school on St. Simon's Island, was in the semifinals of the GIAA AAA division. Unfortunately, the Knights fell to Valwood. They're not going to get a chance to play in the state title game in GIAA as they fell to Valwood 56-30 on the road in Valdosta. Moving back over to GHSA, we're going to go start in Single A Division II. Clinch County gives up 2 late scores to fall to Manchester 21-17 in the Elite Eight. Their season is now over. Elevate up, we're going to go to Double A. Pierce County avenges the season-ending loss they suffered in 2022. This year, they get Fellowship Christian to come to their house in Bearville. They take care of business 49-17 en route to another Final Four appearance for the Bears. That was my game of the week. I'm now 5-2 in my picks, with once again my only 2 losses coming when I pick my alma mater, Ware County. Up to 5A, Ware County's region rival, Coffee County, they're continuing on and they're getting it done. They blank Cass 30-0 at home in Jardine Stadium. The Trojans march on. They'll be in the Final Four this Friday night. Up to 7A, and one of the bigger shockers in the entire state, Camden County out of Kingsland goes on the road to play Mill Creek, some ranked the 3rd best team in the entire nation. Well, Camden County took that personally, and they take care of business. They defeat Mill Creek 39-20 on the road en route to another Final Four for legendary coach Jeff Herron. Those are our 5 recaps from last week. We still have 3 teams at the 912 competing for a state championship this Friday night in the Final Four. I'll be back here later in the show to talk to you about this week's Game of the Week.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Call on us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
Welcome, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Shawn Smoke, publisher of 912 Sports, joined as always by head writer and podcast host Kevin Price. Kevin, how you doing this morning?
Good, Shawn. Good to be here talking high school football with you. Semifinals are up in GHSA. Of course, state finals in GIAA. So it's good that we still have some teams in the mix this far along in the ball game in the running for state championships.
Yeah, Kevin, 912 coverage area. We've got 3 teams in the Final Four. So congratulations to all of those guys. We're going to get to them individually. We're just going to start at the bottom of the brackets, Kevin, and come forward. We'll start in Single A. Division One. Really only had the one team in this bracket was Bacon County. They started, lost to Lamar in the first round. But for the Final Four, we're going to have Prince Avenue Christian is going to take on Bryan County. Congratulations to Bryan County, their first Final Four ever. And then Swainsboro is going to be taking on Maurice Freeman and the Old Hammer over there in Brooks County. Swainsboro got to go to Brooks County, so that's going to be a good matchup. We'll see who can get it done there in Division One. Division Two, we had Clinch County until last week. Clinch County lost a tough one there. Had a big lead there, Kevin, with 2 minutes to go and gave up 14 points. Wound up losing that. So Manchester is going to be at home, going to be taking on Telfair County. And then Sly County has got to go to Bowden. This is a repeat of the state championship from last year. That should be another good game. So we'll see who can get it done there in Division Two. Then we're going to move up to Double A. Double A, we definitely got a team here, the Pierce County Bears. The Pierce County Bears, Kevin, we're fortunate enough to draw that number 1 seed in that 3-way tie. They're going to get a home game taking on Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald, a 2 seed out of that region there to the west of them. But this is going to be a very, very interesting game. Fitzgerald, I think, has played for the state championship, Kevin, the last 3 years. Tucker Pruitt's done an excellent job over there. They've won it here recently, but not really a typical year for Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald with 3 losses on the season. And if you go back and look at what their losses are, Kevin, lost to Northeast, lost to Madison, Florida, which is a game that you got to see in person, and then lost to Cook. But, I kind of draw for this Northeast game. This is a game that Appleton played in the first round and really demolished Northeast. Now, listen, Northeast had their running back when they played Fitzgerald. I understand that. They didn't have them when they played Appleton, but, a big 27-20 loss there for Fitzgerald, and Appleton goes up there and destroys them. So we'll see what happens there, but you never can count out Fitzgerald. But, man, that Pierce defense is really, really tough. I don't know what they're giving up for on the year, Kevin, but they're stopping folks.
Yeah, I've got that number, and I'll throw it out there in a minute. But, Shawn, I mean, you said a mouthful there about Fitzgerald. Everybody, of course, in our coverage area that follows high school football certainly knows about Pierce. And when I look at these 2 teams, Shawn, I think of the word program. They're not teams, they're programs. And they're always tough outs this time of year when they make it this far in the postseason. You mentioned the state titles for Fitzgerald. We know about the state title for Pierce. And here's one little interesting nugget that I kind of came across as I was doing my research. I mean, first of all, back in 2020, when I think Pierce won a state championship, they lost to Fitzgerald in the regular season. They played each other in the regular season. Then the very next year in 2021, when Fitzgerald won their state championship for the first time in many a moon, they actually Pierce actually beat Fitzgerald during that season. So here we are, these two teams in the same classification now, playing for a spot in the state championship game. Only one team can make it. And Shawn, I think two factors play large in this ball game. Number one is that Pierce defense. They're only giving up just a little over 8 points a game, 8.15 points a game, I think. And then, of course, playing at home, where they have certainly built one heck of a home field advantage in recent seasons for sure. I think that's going to play a part. I know Fitzgerald's going to have a great crowd, assuming all things are equal, weather and all that kind of stuff may or may not get involved. We know Pierce is going to pack the house, and it's going to be an electric atmosphere over there. But the Bears they're definitely tough to beat anywhere, but certainly on their home field. And this Caden McGaffey kid, Shawn, at quarterback for the Bears, I know he's a dual threat, approaching 2,000 yards in both running and passing. And even if the Pierce defense were to have a little bit of an off game, I think he could be a difference maker for them on the other side of the football.
Yeah, and these two teams, like you said, Kevin, they're very familiar with one another. They've played each other over the past couple of seasons. So nobody's going to be trying to fool anybody. I mean, this is not going to be, somebody's going to show up, run a different offense. I mean, these guys are who they are. They both want to put you in a phone booth and bludgeon you to death. This is going to be a very, very physical football game. And really, I guess the last man standing is going to win it because, like I said, you got to want to give it a lick and you got to want to take a hit to be in this football game. And it's going to be a really, really good one in Bearville on Friday night.
Yeah, no question. And I did see Fitzgerald earlier in the season in this Border Classic here for the second year in a row. And granted, it was early in the season now. It was back in September, the week after Labor Day. And they just didn't seem to quite have the offensive firepower that I remember them having in the recent past. And there again, playing against that tough Bears defense, I think that could bear out. And I like the Bears for the home field advantage, their defense, and their quarterback who's playing well, running and throwing the football.
And whoever wins that game, Kevin, are going to take on the winner between Rockmart and Cook. Cook a surprise there just down the road here in Adel. But Cook's had a really, really great season. Coach Slack there under, used to be a part of that Camden County staff under Jeff Herron, but doing great things over there at Cook County. They do have to go to Rockmart, but that's going to be another interesting game. We'll see who can get that one done. But we'll move on to 3A now. 3A, we've got Cedar Grove, my definitive state 3A champion from last year versus Calvary Day, school from over here in Savannah. And then you got Savannah Christian is going to be taking on Carver of Columbus. I say that because we all know the big controversy last year that Sandy Creek won the 3A state title when they clearly did not score the touchdown and beat Cedar Grove. But Cedar Grove does get this game at home. So we'll see if Calvary Day can go on the road and get it done. And who knows, Kevin, we can have a Savannah on Savannah state championship there. Both those teams from the same region. So we'll see if they can match up there in Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta. And then the last bracket we're going to talk about before we go to break is the 4A bracket. Stockbridge is going to be taking on Benedictine. Benedictine they lost the coin toss, Kevin, so they got to go to Stockbridge, take on that team at home. And then Starsville is going to be at home against Perry. Really, Perry, I think, is a surprise out of 4A. Nobody really had them, being in this position. But they beat Bainbridge in that weird game where it was 7-3 total. But you had a chance to see Benedictine last week, and I think Benedictine, your two-time defending state champ.
Yeah, real solid football team on both sides of the ball. Of course, well coached. Danny Britt does a great job with those guys, as we all know. And North Oconee had a decent offense. Certainly early in the game, they got a good scheme. They put some points up early, and I thought it might turn into a shootout. But as the game wore on and bore out, Benedictine kept scoring, tightened up on defense, and they ran away with the ball game in the second half. So really, as the game played out, the talent of Benedictine kind of showed through there, and they won that game going away. But it certainly looked like it was going to be nip and tuck for 4 quarters the way the ball game started.
Yeah, Benedictine definitely on that path to three-peat, so we'll see if they can get it done. Hey, but let's take a quick break. We'll come right back here and finish up the brackets here for the Final Four of the state championship. You're watching On Air with 912 Sports.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
Welcome back, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Shawn Spoke. He's Kevin Price, and we're talking about the final four teams that are playing in the state championship here in the state of Georgia. Kevin, we're going to move on to 5A, and we're going to talk about the battle of the undefeateds here. Cartersville, 13-0 on the season. Coffee County, 13-0. Of course, Coffee County, one of our 912 teams. We've seen these teams play, or seen Coffee County play a couple of times there. Kevin, this is a very, very talented football team on both sides of the ball, but especially the defense. I think they're giving up less than 6 points a game. Had another shutout this past week, and that was one of the things that I looked at when I went back. Cass is out of that Cartersville region, Kevin, and actually Cartersville had to go into overtime to beat Cass, wound up winning that game 21-14. And oh, by the way, Coffee County this past Friday night demolished Cass 30-0, a game that wasn't even close. So Coffee does have to get on the road and make that long 6-hour bus ride up to Cartersville. So we'll see if that has any effect on the Trojans. But I think the Trojans are in great shape to play for our state title here in a couple, in 8 days or whatever after Friday.
Yeah, without a question, you made some really good points there. Of course, these two teams have some history between each other, too. In the playoffs, back in 2020, they met in the semifinals with Cartersville winning in Cartersville in a close ball game, 24-17. And then last year, they did meet again in Cartersville in the quarters with Cartersville winning that game going away 56-28. Now, obviously, this Coffee team, I think, is better than either one of those two teams. So as long as they travel well, I think they'll be fine. This is going to be a defensive-oriented ball game on paper, at least. You mentioned the Coffee defense. Yeah, under 6 points a game, that's just phenomenal. They're giving up 5.23 points a game. This Cartersville defense is tough too, Shawn. I think they're only giving up like 9 points a game. But this is no question Coffee's toughest game of the season, maybe with the exception of that season finale against Ware County, which they did win on the road. And, of course, a lot was at stake that night. So no question it's their biggest battle in the playoffs, though, where they do have 2 of 3 shutouts. But I looked at that trio of games that included the Cass game on Cartersville's schedule, and they might be lucky to be undefeated, Shawn, between Calhoun, Cass, and Hiram. They won those games by a combined 12 points. And then, of course, you mentioned the 21-14 overtime win they had against Cass, a team that Coffee just handled handily in the playoffs. So I do think as long as that Coffee defense travels well, they'll certainly be in the ball game. And they do have Fred Brown on the other side of the football, their big bruising running back. I think at some point late in the ball game, particularly on a cold, chilly, maybe nasty night up there, in North Georgia, that they're going to get tired of tackling that big guy because he's going to keep coming after them, and it's going to sting a little bit. So I'll ride with Fred Brown on offense, the Coffee defense. I think they go on the road and get it done. I think they travel better to Cartersville this time than they have in the past.
Yeah, and like I said, you hit the nail on the head. In that fourth quarter, you're a defensive back, and you're sitting there probably weighing, let's call it 175 pounds. You got to make a business decision because Mr. 230's coming, and he's bringing a lot of pain with him. So we'll see how bad those guys want to tackle Fred Brown in the fourth quarter, because that's really how Coffee's just bludgeoned people all year long with that big, strong offensive line and that big bruising running game. So we'll see how that works out there for Cartersville. But I'm like you. I think Coffee goes on the road and gets this one done. They're going to play the winner, Kevin, of Creekside. At Jefferson. Creekside beating Warner Robins last week, and Jefferson handling Harris County. So both of those teams will kind of be new to the championship, regardless of which one of those win. And then we'll see who can go between Coffee and Cartersville. But we'll move on over to 6A. 6A, we had a lot of teams, Kevin, after the 912 and 6A. Of course, we don't have anybody playing there, but we do have our brother just to the west of us over here, Thomas County Central. Big win at Rome, won on, I think, the last play of the game. kicked the field goal to win that game 19-16, playing Marist, a team that put Brunswick out. Marist, we know, is a very, very talented football team. Marist is going to be the home team there, so Thomas County Central going to have to make that long road trip up to Atlanta. And then Douglas County, kind of a surprise over there on the left side of the bracket, is going to be taking on Woodward Academy. And probably the second biggest upset that we had this past Friday night with Woodward Academy beating Gainesville. Gainesville sitting there at number 1. Everybody thinking they're going to coast into the state championship, but oh, by the way, the Woodward Academy team had a different opinion and was able to get that win for them.
Yeah, I think the state champions coming from the other side of the bracket, whether it's, Marist or Thomas County Central, those two teams certainly have an interesting past against each other when they were smaller schools, and you can dig into that and read about it. It's out there. But, two great games here in Class 6A. This other side of the bracket is going to be a good one too. And, who knows? There's a lot of good teams in the upper classifications in Georgia. 5, 6, and 7A, and certainly we're going to talk about some of those 7A games in a moment. But this is big boy football, no question, and should be 2 interesting ball games there in the 6A brackets.
Moving on to 7A, and I mentioned that Woodward over Gainesville was the second biggest upset because the biggest upset in the state of Georgia this past Friday night, possibly the biggest upset in the nation this past Friday night, was the Camden County Wildcats go on the road and get it done at Mill Creek. And just a phenomenal job, Kevin, by that group there at Camden County. Nobody, I mean, the computers had them a 16-point dog. They go up and win the game by 19. That's a 35-point spread. Really, a game that I think Kevin late in the second, maybe early in the third, was tied at 17, but then, Camden just kept pounding and kept pounding and kept pounding. And Mill Creek did not have an answer for that wing tee. Everybody said, the wing tee will never work. It's outdated. You can't win with it. Well, Mr. Jeff Heron and the Camden County Wildcats are making a pretty good argument for it right now. They've got to go on the road and play a very tough Walton team. I'd like to tell you all the teams that Walton has lost to, Kevin, but there aren't any. This team is 13-0. They're 5-0 in the region. Their lowest output on the whole season, Kevin, 35 points. And the only game that they had that was a single-digit game was the North Cobb game, and they won that one 35-27. So Camden's going to have their hands full. But listen, I'm tired of counting out Jeff Heron. I thought, Newton might get him in the first round. I thought they would get McEachern, but I never thought they could ever go on the road and get Mill Creek. But they did, and they've made a believer out of me. I think they've got a chance to win it all.
Yeah, Shawn, just going back to round 1, I mean, I thought they were up against a really good Newton team.
They were.
In round 1, and they fell down 15-0, and I was like, uh-oh. But, ever since coming back and taking that lead against Newton and winning that ball game, they've been lights out. And, Shawn, going back to the Lowndes game, which they actually had to win to assure themselves of a playoff berth, I think they're the only team still left that had to do that. They've won 4 impressive games or played 4 impressive games on the road, 3 in the playoffs, and here they are sitting in the semifinals. And I know a lot of people may go, why is it such a big deal that Camden won? That's no shocker. Well, I wouldn't say a shocker, but certainly a pleasant surprise. You mentioned the point spread, and here's a couple of things to throw out there at you. Of course, Mill Creek was the defending state champ. They were ranked number 1 in the state for what that's worth. There's a lot of good teams in Class 7A, certainly in the top 5. Any of those teams very easily maybe could have been ranked number 1. They had won 20 games in a row going back to the Final 8 last season on their way to a 14-1 season in the state championship, and then 12 this year. And there's a bunch of these high school polls out there these days. There's not just the old USA Today Super 25 or whatever it is. There's 7, 8, 9, 10 high school polls out there, and I think they all do a fairly decent job, I guess, even though it's kind of eye candy. A lot of these teams rank kind of in similar spots in all of those, but Mill Creek had 5 top 10 rankings, I think, Shawn, in those various polls. So they were a consensus top 10 team in the country, again, for what that's worth. But I was in Savannah Friday night when I heard that Camden was up 17-10 at the half. I quickly found that game on the radio and watched the BC game there in person and listened to that ball game. Then I came home and watched the NHFS feed of that game over the weekend. And, Shawn, that wing tee offense was in full swing. I mean, Mill Creek could not stop them off tackle whether it was the left side of the line or the right side of the line. The Laws kid, was a bruising, punishing runner in that ball game. Jamarly Riddle did his thing. Jaden Daly did his thing as well as the fullback, setting things up in that wing T offense. And obviously, they threw a big pass to the Elias Williams kid who was wide slap open in the end zone one time. So just a great game by Camden on both sides of the football. That wing T is really going right now. Their defense has certainly gotten better over this 4-game winning streak on the road. I think things have clicked in for them. And the challenge, Shawn, I wish I could say it's getting easier for them now than Mill Creek, but you mentioned it. This Walton team loaded for bear too, and the challenge might even be tougher. I mean, Walton throws the ball all over the place, a quarterback that's going to Wake Forest, a running back that's going to Memphis. They got 5 or 6 Power 5 guys, including 2 linebackers there. One's going to South Carolina, one's going to North Carolina. They got a University of Georgia commit on the offensive front. We all know about how big and bad those Georgia offensive linemen can be and the size of kids they recruit. Of course, Camden has one there too in the Morris kid. So they've turned out some Georgia guys. But another tough assignment. They've got to go on the road and do it again. Hopefully that's not going to catch up with them, Shawn. At some point, I guess it could. It could be this week. But Camden is a dangerous, dangerous football team right now. They're playing with house money. They're playing with a lot of confidence. They've got that wing T rolling. That might be their best defense. And their defense is playing with the confidence that this overall team is. It's really clicked in for them. So I tell you, I might be a little surprised if they win again, but I certainly will not be shocked. And, boy, if they can make it to the state championship game against another tough team, either it's going to be Grayson or Milton there that beat Colquitt. And I know we're going to talk about that a little bit, but just what a journey this has been, regardless of when it ends. I would love to see it go all the way to the finish line, but I don't think people realize that 7A has changed since the last time that Camden was doing all this. They're sort of the little kid on the block. They're not the big bully anymore, and they're certainly in that underdog role once again, and I hope they can ride it on out to the finish line.
Yeah, and, one of the first things that Coach talked about when he came and took back over that program was getting those kids to believe. They had to believe they can win. After that win last Friday night, Kevin, there's no way these kids don't believe. They believe they can win, and that's going to pay off in aces when they go to Walton County, because they know when they step off that bus, which they've done for the last 4 weeks in a row, that they can win that football game, and that is going to be huge, I think, Friday night. And like I said, I will not be shocked at all if Camden goes up there and gets the job done at Walton. So, but you mentioned the other side of the bracket. Grayson has got to take on Milton. Milton's got to go to Grayson. Milton coming off that big win over Colquitt County. Colquitt had to go on the road, but Milton pretty much handled their business. Won that game. Boy, it was a close one, but they wound up winning it and moving on. And then Buford, Grayson beats Buford. So now you get the Milton-Grayson, game there in Loganville on Friday night, and we'll see who can, win that game and get to the state final.
Yeah, and I think 4 teams that were ranked in the nation lost last week, Mill Creek being one, Buford being another. Of course, Carrollton lost to Walton. They were one as well. But, so Walton's the number 2 team in the state. The highest-ranked team left in Class 7A. Of course, Camden's already beaten the number 1 team in Mill Creek. And also, I think they're the only unbeaten team left in 7A, but hopefully after Friday night, that will be no more, and they'll have 1 loss and sitting at home, and Camden to be going on to the state championship. But it'll be another good one next week if they can get there, but let's see if they can get there first. I'm really rooting on this squad. It would be one heck of a story. Every step further they go, it just adds to it.
But get out and watch a high school football game this Friday night. We're down to the Final Four. State championships coming next week, the 11th, 12th, and 13th of December. So we'll see. That's kind of going to be weird, Kevin. We're going to have championship games on a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and not a weekend. But we'll see how that goes. They will be played at the Mercedes-Benz, so kids get to go back indoors after a couple of years there being outside at the old Turner Field. But we'll see what happens there. But appreciate everybody watching. Stick around. Evan's got his pick coming up right after this. You're watching On Air with 912 Sports.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
If you weren't here earlier in the show, I told you guys that I'm now 5-2 in my picks after Pierce County beat Fellowship Christian at home last week, 49-17. This week, we're going to stay in Bearville. Pierce hosts Fitzgerald, the only team of our three remaining that get to stay down here in the 912. They're going to host the Fitzgerald Purple Hurricanes, a perennial state powerhouse in 2A, but when Pierce moved down, they've been clashing multiple times throughout the season or getting very close to it. This is a very good game. It's a very tough game. I am still going to roll with the 912. I'm going to take the Pierce County to win a little bit closer than last week. I don't think it'll be so much of a blowout. Give me Pierce to win by 7 points at home in Bearville. And hey, if you agree, let me know in the email down below. If you disagree, let me know in the email down below. But every week, outside of being a homer and picking my alma mater, I'm undefeated. So I'm going to take that streak, put it once again with Pierce County. They've been very good to me so far this year. I'm going to take them again to win this Friday night. Let me know. And as always, I want all the smoke.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robinson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Calling us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
This has been a presentation of 912 Sports.